This Tate saga reminds me of once when I was 13 and I asked out this girl I sat next to in chemistry. And she's nice and we used to get on right well. We'd known each other a few years. I liked her. And she says, "You're alright, but you ain't got nothing to offer, have you?" I'm like, "What?" "Well, you haven't got a car." I'm 13. So it's like her boyfriend at the time was about 26. Brag about it amongst the girls. "Oh, my boyfriend. Oh, my boyfriend. Oh, my boyfriend." It's like, do you know how stupid young girls at 13 and 14 are? 15, 16. They'll do fucked up things just so they've got something to talk about, some of them. Competition with the other slags in the bad girl culture that's been, it's what it all is, this collagen lips, this going to the plastic surgeons and asking for a Pete Burns. It's competition amongst women. It's not about attracting men, it's competition amongst women. And the way they used to cluck away about their boyfriends, girls of 14 and 15, my boyfriend, and in the end, they'd be pathetic creatures. Driving around in the mum's car, hanging about outside schools. Takes me back to that. It takes me back to, say, mentioned it previous video, co-worker I had who, one of these mope who just burst into tears all the time. "Oh, I know your boyfriend, he's a pimp. I could have warned you about him." I hear guys in the pub saying, "Oh yeah, did you get anywhere with it?" "Oh yeah." And you used to know a lad called Mark, right? Who was a lad who'd come into money quickly. It's like, it was something like the scam of its day, really. A piece of business that the council did, it privatised and he took over the contract. So he's suddenly a guy who's got an order worth millions a year that he can fulfill from anywhere. So he's, in essence, almost retired. He's a guy who's gone from being a chancer with like an office equipment business to having a fucking leasing empire. So this guy's a wise guy, womanizer, like a really fucking cheeky bastard. But now, he's got a Mercedes SLK and he lives in a big house. Some of the things I've heard him say to women just to attempt to get them back to his big house. So get a few more drinks down and get a shag. The fucking lies he'd tell, I was rolling laughing at the things he was telling him. "I'll take you to Paris tomorrow morning." She's like, "Do you mean it?" It's like, "Yeah, of course I do." It's like that game of tricking the women and then going back to the lads saying, "Hey, fucking knows what he's doing." It's like, what lies did you tell to get in that situation you got yourself in? And did it not strike you that you were talking to a stranger and you got no fucking idea if she were a full shilling? So it might be suggestible, someone with romantic ideas. Romantic ideas are what become crazy fucking notions. So you get to weighing them up, you wonder how this feminism's become a thing, and it's like, well, there was a time, I used to think, yeah, they've got a point. And it's like, why, John? It's like, because I was surrounded by the guys who were creating those heartbroken, fucking messed up bitches. They were creating them. I think, guys, there was a chap who I used to be kind of friends with. And I put it to him one day when he was going on about his crazy girlfriend. And his crazy girlfriend, what had she done? he was having sex with another woman, and she climbed up he locked all the doors of the house that they lived in, and he locked her out while he was having sex with some other woman, and she'd come back, caught him. It was like, well, if she doesn't come back, just in case, we've locked all the doors. And she's crazy because she climbed up a fucking drain pipe to catch him, and then the drain pipe gave away and she landed on flat on her back in the middle of the fucking drive. That's her being a crazy bitch. So I was fucking next thing you know, bang on window. It's like, what the fuck are you playing at? And it's like, and I'm like, that's Andrew Tate, isn't it? And it's like this girlfriend of his, it's like, I used to go to school with her. And she's about 25 years younger than him at the time. And I says, I've got a theory for you. What's that? Like, she's not a crazy bitch, or she wasn't until you started fucking messing her about. So there might have been some normal in there before you turned up. I reckon it's you turned her into a fucking crazy bitch. And the look on his face as to how dare you. It's as if no one had ever thought of it. Are you the one here who's fucking this up? Because you're here laughing and fucking joking, telling us all the tales about what a crazy bitch she is because she caught you red-handed screwing another bird. And she's got a problem because she had to climb in her own house. Right? It's like, I've been around people like that, cunt. They just usually don't get so far. Usually they get ahead of themselves and something brings them down. But it's like, that guy's got away with it. I know guys, and I think everyone else fucking knows people who are now sunning it abroad as older gentlemen. In a place where the rules and the taboos are a bit more relaxed. And it gets them what they want. Or need. At the same time as nobody fucking knowing them or asking any questions. And they'd be not available for when people twig one day and say, hey, that guy coerced me and had sex with me under false pretenses. Was I tricked? Was I used? I'd always blame myself. He told me that I wasn't up to scratch and I believed him. He blamed me for it and I took the blame because I loved him so much. It's like, I'm single, right? You know why I'm single? Well, it's not that I haven't been picked, it's that I've fucking turned them down. And it's like, why have you turned them down, John? It's just because usually they lay on you a story like that. The last bloke. You're single, aren't you? You made yourself single. You get past like your teens, suddenly you're single. And then everyone else has got miles on the clock as to why they're single. Why are you available? And they've all got a story to tell of abuse. And it's always the fuel and the fire. You never know what fucked up things people have been through. Things are not the same as they were 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it's like you were committing a mortal sin in person or the internet. If you actually ever asked a woman about her past, it was like, how dare you ask a woman about her past? Who do you think you are to ask a woman about her past? It was like that then. It's less so now. It's actually breaking. The dam's breaking when we talk about people using people and pulling the rug and ripping each other off. It's like it's reaching a crescendo. It's like the forces of the scam are on the fucking run, aren't they, at this moment in time? It's like one pops off after the next. There's something that has emerged, and it's sad, and that is sides. Okay, so it's like sides. whose side are you on, John? And it's like, oh, I'm on God's side. Really? Yeah, I want the truth and I want justice to be done. It's like, I've taken my licks in life. Look at where I've ended up. Look at the state of me. I've taken my punishment and learned my fucking lessons. Now, I stand with God on the side of against evil. I won't say good, because who's good? But I stand against evil. And he'd be like, well, these people, these apologists that have arrived. First there was Tommy Robinson, the apologist, who, I'm psychic, and I'll tell you he's a good lad, and I was there, and nothing happened. They're all liars. Robinson. Trust me, I'm the only one who tells the truth. Or me and my mate, Andrew Tate. We're the only ones who tell the truth. You've got that performance, and then earlier today, and then, well, twice today, there's two more performances come out. Owens, who's gone straight to the whore's lie position. And who's to say that's rape? It's like today there's a tape of him come out where he's actually mouthing off. We don't know that that's a true thing. It could just be a fucking psychopathic, mean thing to say to someone who's frightened of you. But he seemed to he sounded like he was letting it be known that he quite enjoyed a bit of rape. Gets off on it. Fear. Like, oh fucking hell, it's like, yeah, he's into the really exotic stuff, that one. What? It's like, yeah, he gets off on fear and adrenaline. It's hard to come by that. Although if you can enslave a load of people and have them, like, beholden to you and afraid, you've got it on tap. It's like, to even be mouthing off like that, you point to the most disgusting things. You point to the most disgusting, incurable addictions known to man. It's like, well, it's like Candace Owens, she's going with the innocent until proven guilty, and no proof has been brought forward. And there'd be absolute mountains and mountains coming out, turning up. Oh, it's just a party place. It's like, hang on a minute. Paul Joseph Watson suddenly is a whatabouter, where if you were to like Google him and Jeffrey Epstein, he's likely produced 100 hours of content exposing a guy who never faced trial for his actions. And it's perfectly okay, even though that guy, he's been done before, so we know he's kind of guilty. But, you know, the big one, where he was supposedly to go down for the rest of his life, when he comes up dead, you think of him as paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. You talk about Jimmy Savile, no court in this fucking living world put him in jail for being a pedo. Was reading about one earlier on that I'd worked out for myself a few years ago. Arthur C. Clarke, the famous science fiction author, he died before he was exposed as being a serial paedophile. When he got accused of it when he was an old man, he laughed it off, triangulated it, and said, it's because I'm a friend of Prince Charles. They're trying to make Prince Charles look bad. It's like, that's funny. That's what Jimmy Savile said when the police came after him, isn't it? What is it with Prince Charles and those guys? They like to use him as a shield, and it seems to work. It's like Candace Owens and Paul Joseph Watson, if we were talking about, you know, pimps, like high-level pimps and traffickers, with a lot less evidence, they'd be going after somebody who wasn't ostensibly on their side. It's like, why the change in behaviour suddenly? What the fuck? It's like you guys are off the internet, you're part of this drama, and then suddenly someone who you've been photographed with gets into trouble and you completely change your moral standard and start talking about what is legal as opposed to what is and isn't a sin, immoral, sick. But it's technically legal if people consent. You've switched to that, have you? So you flipped your view, you're now talking like... You've just changed your view. You've had to accommodate a new set of circumstances and you've changed your worldview. It's now innocent until proven guilty. Oh, okay. Right, well, that's the first time those people have ever applied that to anything or anybody, and they are more than happy to mouth off when allegations are made against people they consider their enemies. So it's like, now, do you wonder why we weren't able to stop the lockdowns, COVID? Things like that, you know, just saying. People who bandy influence in political circles are in it for themselves and have got their own mates and do their own fucking deals and don't give a flying fuck. And they cause disharmony in their own ranks and will just shit test everybody and make it about our side and their side. Andrew Tate is on our side. We must protect him. And it's like, you'd protect him? What is it that would make you so loyal to him? Did he frighten you? Have you been in the shit with him? Are you trauma bonded? Did you share a day? Have you fallen under his pimp spell? He is the top G after all. In mouth, actually demonstrates that he has got a great deal of ability to hypnotise and charm. It's like, has he got you under his spell? Just asking, because he is the top G. You know, if we take his word for it, that's what the top G can do. It's what the top G is. The king of the pimps. Operates at a very high level of understanding. Thing is, though, at a high level of understanding, there's only really a revelation that's available to someone who's damned. Ha. Done. You're giving people the kind of advice that will get them killed in real life. Won't get you killed because you're obviously, you know, rich, protection, undo yourself. You know, there was I listened to that Romanian guy who did a live stream this morning, and there was little kids getting in his comment section saying, you know, when he goes to prison, he'll just, well, he's, you know, kickboxing world champion. He'll just kick everyone's ass and he'll be the daddy in the prison immediately. And the little Romanian fella's like grinning, and I comment, I go, this guy believes in fighting. And he got it straight away. He's laughing. He's like, this guy believes there's such thing as a fair fight. So dead right, you can die in prison in Romania. And, you know, your chances of being the top G in the prison are diminished by your ability not to speak the language of the rest of the prisoners. It's like, according to the Romanian guy who speaks fucking better English than any language I speak as a second, I might be able to give you a couple of sentences in French and understand a bit of Spanish. That's it. He speaks English, so I can understand it, so everyone can understand it. And he's like, yes, you can die in prison for rape. And it doesn't matter what a fighting man you are, because dangerous men kill people. Fighters fight. Right? Oh, reality. And something that Tate knows well himself. That Mike Stuckbury fellow, right, who Tommy Robinson used to go after in the flesh because he lived close by. It's like Tate turned up at his house twice, outside in his car, revving his Bugattis. And that Stuckbury, he can't handle fuck all. He's somebody who has his mental health diagnosis in his bio that tells you he's particularly easy to gaslight. Sits outside his house revving his engine. Like, what are you going to do? I know where you live. So he knows that game of, let's be dangerous. He knows that game, and it's like, when he goes to prison, he'll have to live and die by it. There's absolutely no way in this world he's going to inspire some kind of prison uprising like you saw in that Andor. I don't think he's got the chops. Although he's got more in common with Cassidy Andor than most other heroes. Heroes? Well, yeah. Like in Andrew Tate world, the posts I've been having a look round, and there is a small core, right, of people who talk Andrew Tate up as if he's like the Antichrist or else the second coming even. And his language, he does something that I like to do as well because it's hilarious, which is to God whistle. It's like dog whistling, but as God. God whistle. I do it a lot. A lot. I think it's the funniest joke in the world. No one can prove I'm not God's guy. No one can prove I'm not that guy. I can't even prove it to myself because I'm just old and insane now. Been that way for so long, there's no separation between me and whatever drives me ego. So in some regards, I'm a similar creature to Andrew Tate in imagination. But I think it's funny, you see. I think it's funny. I've been, for years, talking to guys like, just dropping the odd email every now and then to catch up with people I used to talk about psychology with. Maybe Richard Grannon and the like. And I'll say, can we have a chat about messiah complexes, please? I've worked a few things out. And they're like, no, we don't need you. Grannon's already taken the best elements of my, my contribution to psychology as it stands now. Grannon's ran with a few, about 4 or 5 of my little gems. I'm not bothered about that. It's a matter of unlocking the thing. That's the thing. That business model, right, that Andrew Tate runs, you could ask Grannon this, right? Me and Richard Grannon worked out that we could do that as well. And just throw it out as a laugh, as if someone was listening. But yeah, it's like, we know the ins and outs of this game, It's like we could be the 2 most successful pimps in the history of the world, what we know about how to manipulate people. Using the internet like this. Laughed and said, well, what will we do? It's like, just check out your entire client list of women and we'll just put them all on the game. Joking. And it's like, years later, you find that website where he was, my job is to make people fall in love with me. It's like, someone's actually done that. Someone's actually done what we were joking about. Because I had a problem at the time with those guys in like the manosphere. I fucking hate them all. You know, I don't mind them as people. Some of them are alright, but the notions of the game and pick up at it, no, you're wrong. It's like you just put yourself up for sale and the bottom feeders just decide whether they're interested or not. It's like you're actually leading men to get their hopes up and basically bid everything on a fucking loser. Just bet their whole life on hey. Not understanding that they are not Roosh V, they are not Andrew Tate, they're not even David Serini. Game is a joke that makes men vulnerable to women. Making men vulnerable to women makes Andrew Tate money, and he knows it. Anything he can do to ruin men's lives and basically put them in that position as to where they become lonesome for that kind of company, and it's just better for his cam business. It's better for all the porn industry, but it actually pays him straight in the pocket. And if he can be fostering the malfunctions that lead men to that world of getting fucking ripped off by ruthless whores who've learned a way of plying their trade without running the risk of getting beaten up. So this is fucking dangerous territory. It's like a mixture of ancient and new technology. The ancient knowledge of the slaver and the pimp merged with the internet. It turned into one thing. And then the internet then become a tool of a validation, where every time Andrew Tate goes on the internet, it's whew, everything says Andrew Tate back at him. It's like, if you've fallen under the influence of that creep, as to you give him the benefit of the doubt in view of what he's been saying. It's like, even if people could believe that it's all an act, oh, he's all right with me, it's all an act. Like, what kind of guy talks like that? And his audience, I mean, I've had a few hecklers in comments and things like that. They're not literate. People who jump on, most of them are kids. It's like, these are kids. These are accounts that have been made by little kids and are people who've started crypto scamming and then just become Tate bots. It's like, what was the earning mechanism? There's some kind of mining been going on with those guys who appear online, repeating what, well, saying what Candace Owens and Paul Joseph Watson said before they said it. So it seems like there's a story, the boss has a story, and we've all got to stick to it, or he'll know that we didn't try. There's people talking to him. You get hours worth of phone calls a day, and they'll be, who said something, who said this, who said that, who's doing this, who's doing that. Because a guy like him has to believe he's in control. If he can pull your chain and bug you, he can tell himself he's in control of you. If he can frighten you, he can know he's fucking with you. He likes it. You take that away from him, suddenly he's interrogating some prick. We're all my friends. And my friends all coming out to defend me. It's like this has a real smell of somebody owning someone. It's like, do we believe the guy when he says he's a top G? Because that's the kind of loyalty that the top G can call upon. He openly says it. And openly saying things like that should, to people who think better of him, pull the rug. I'm the great deceiver. The best ever. And it's like, these guys are just paddling on. Puppets. It strikes me as being cultish and creepy and insincere and disingenuous. But hey, it's just me. I'm just on the anti-pimp side. I'm just on the anti-evil side. It's funny how when evil arrives, we can join forces against it. When we can agree that something's wrong and has branched out and gone too far, where the words of a pedo are being seen as the words of a prophet. Someone's gamed the system to make it so everybody's, all the kids, mouthing off like they're Andrew Tate. It's like, to have found yourself part of his act. To my mind, you should be asking your audiences to forgive you for putting you in bad company, for introducing to you to someone who wanted to deceive you and, if possible, take your money. It's like people who would talk about accountability on any day. Not today. Ha! Well, makes you feel any better. I knew they were a pair of cunts anyway. I didn't have very high hopes for either of them. But it's like, they just go on the Tate bonfire. Just more wreckage. How many more is there going to be?